With the release of episode 2 of the second season of Severance, we got to see the exact time period that we saw unfolding in episode 1, but this time from the Outies perspective. Something which shone a light on the actual time frame that followed the season 1 finale, not the cover-up 5-month time frame like we were told. One thing that I thought was particularly interesting that got left out of the entirety of episode 2 was the decision for Miss Huang to arrive and start working on the severed floor. We saw the decision around Gwendolyn, Mark W and David being recruited, and even the decision for Mr. Milchick to run the floor, but nothing on the appointment of Miss Huang becoming a supervisor, something that I thought was particularly strange. But that decision to leave it even more ambiguous got me questioning even more about who she is, where she's come from, and what her role in the show is gonna be. So with that, I thought I'd give my theories and predictions on exactly who Miss Huang is. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Why Miss Huang's crossing guard role could be important. One of the first things that we found out about Miss Huang in the early part of the episode was that she openly revealed that she was a crossing guard before she became a supervisor on the severed floor. Whilst we know what a traditional crossing guard is, it could actually very much be connected to that, or there could be some kind of crossing guard that's present within Lumen. Let's explore both of those different theories and possibilities first. The first theory could be connected to the fact that Miss Huang was an actual crossing guard on the outside. A crossing guard is somebody that aids in assisting the stopping and smooth flowing of traffic around heavily built up areas where there are a lot of pedestrians. This is so that people can cross the road safely and not get harmed. This is actually often done around schools and places where there are children. What if she was volunteering and being a traffic guard near the school where she used to go to, which could be the Kier Eagan school for girls? And then, whilst she was on duty, she could have been hit by oncoming traffic and ended up dying, similar to what we heard happen with Gemma. Then, through the use of Cold Harbor, if it is what many of us think it could be, where Lumen are doing their best to resurrect people and give them eternal life once brought back from the dead, she may well have been brought back to life through the program. We know that outside of Lumen, Gemma is perceived to be dead by Mark and also by his family, despite the fact that Miss Casey is very much alive whilst on the severed floor. So Lumen are able to cover up deaths if they choose to. We also know that Lumen's moral code is quite thin and almost non-existent, so it wouldn't stop them from working on a child if that was the opportunity that presented itself to them. So I wonder if Miss Huang could almost be like an early test subject of Cold Harbor, and now that they have Mark and Gemma connected, that could be what's taken priority. This could also be why she seems to be devoid of certain emotions and tempers. Because she was an early test subject, things might not have gone as smoothly as they planned when compared to what they originally wanted, hence why they're now taking their time with Miss Casey due to the mistakes that they made with Miss Huang. Because with her, Mark seems to be the key in getting the tempers well balanced. We've seen Mr. Milchick have a bit of an attitude with Miss Huang in the select times that they've been around one another, so he may be acting like this because he doesn't respect her due to her being a test subject. Another theory around her being a crossing guard is that a crossing guard in Lumen could be a completely different position to what we know it as on the outside. We know that people cross over into a different part of their mind when they enter their ini form when they're severed. So I wonder if it was genuinely just a throwaway comment that she made where she was just letting them know that maybe there was a type of crossing guard that was present at the company. I like the idea of the first theory because it would tie into Lumen's wider plans, their lack of regard for a moral code, and it would also allow there to be some kind of connection to Gemma and Mark. Miss Huang's connection to Ms Cobel. One moment that got a real key focus in the first episode was when Mr. Milchick was looking frustrated at his computer screen because it said, "Hello Ms Cobel," and he wanted it to say Mr. Milchick because he was now running the severed floor. As the camera was cutting between close-up shots where the monitor said Cobel, it was also immediately cutting to close-up shots of Miss Huang's face as she was playing with the toy of Kier Eagan where she was looking to get the circles onto the praying hands. Something that was actually similar to the main level task that she was doing on the computer screen. When she got the red circle onto the praying hands, there was a look of satisfaction on her face for the first time in the entirety of the episode. The connection between the name Cobel and herself is something that I think is going to be key to the direction of the character. With Harmony Cobel, we know that she's a loose-cannoned individual and she's quite the opposite of the emotionally muted Miss Huang. We've not seen much from her at all other than blank stares in response to smiles and the firm reinforcement that she's a supervisor to the people that work in refinement, not their friend. When it comes to Harmony, we know that when she was younger, she attended Kier Eagan School for Girls and grew up following and learning about the teachings of Kier Eagan, whilst also spending a lot of her own time worshipping Kier and the cult. This was right up until becoming head of the Severed Floor. I wonder if Miss Huang could almost be like a Harmony Cobel 2.0. If she's not a clone or not an individual that was killed and became a test subject for Cold Harbor, what if the board at Lumen plucked somebody from that very school that Harmony went to that was a top student, a strong devoted worshipper of Kier, and then they put her into Lumen so they could essentially mold them into becoming the perfect head of the Severed Floor? A position that they previously thought that they had nailed down with Harmony until it all went wrong. We know that Lumen based a lot of their things on tempers, so they may well have analysed what they liked about Harmony and sought that out whilst being able to filter out what they didn't, and ultimately that could have brought them to Miss Huang. That could also be why Mr. Milchick could have a dislike towards her, because he knows that his time in his role isn't going to be as long as what he wanted it to be, because Miss Huang will be there to ascend the position when ready and when the board gives the go-ahead, and with the way that Mr. Milchick acts, it's the very thing that he spent his career working towards and always dreamed of doing, hence the devastation that he probably feels. The toy that she got out of the drawer could also be key to this point too, especially with Kier and his praying hands, showing that she could be a part of the Eagan cult, and also the way that it was intercut with Harmony Cobel's name could show the mirrored backstories, both having attended the girls' school and both worshipping the Eagan ways. So I feel like that could be a possibility of her backstory and one that would be particularly interesting. There could also be another theory around the board and Lumen potentially being able to mirror the tempers of Harmony, and if Cold Harbor is actually a program that's centered around cloning and not resurrecting, I wonder if Lumen were able to create the perfect version of Harmony but in the shell of somebody completely different. Maybe Miss Huang was a crossing guard that was killed, and they got the body and are treating it like a blank canvas whilst being able to do what they want with her mind due to Cold Harbor. Could Miss Huang be Mark and Gemma's daughter? I'm going to go out and just say that there's a very small chance that she could be. I just think that it would be so obvious, and I also don't think it would make sense at all, especially when it comes to timelines and memories that they have. I don't see how Mark wouldn't know that Gemma was carrying their child together. I also think the writing in Severance is so much stronger than just injecting a character into the show in a new season and it being a relation to one of the main characters. This is one of the most mysterious, thought-provoking shows that's been on TV in the past few years, and I think having that as the reveal would be relatively underwhelming, and it wouldn't give the impact that quite literally anything else would, because the Mark and Gemma child theory was one of the first things that everybody's mind drifted towards. Miss Huang is definitely a mystery for now, but she's a character that I think is going to have a lot of focus moving forward throughout the show, and she'll be somebody that we'll definitely learn more about as time goes on. She's an added layer of mystery to a show that's full of questions right down to the core. So I hope the reveal about her actual backstory and who she is will be satisfying. With the level of writing that this show has, I don't doubt that it will be worth it. So, there you have it. Severance Season 2, Miss Huang Explained. If you want to see more videos on Severance Season 2 where I break down every episode, then click on the card in the top corner. There's a playlist there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find more of your favourite TV series and movies being broken down. What do you think Miss Huang's backstory is? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.